Hello, welcome to We Do Better News. We have a great show planned for you today. We'll be talking about the latest in the developments around the cure for HIV. We'll be covering the latest in a new kind of food product, and then we'll be covering how thousands of veterans have been helped and how hundreds have been cured of PTSD. And then we'll have a special guest to talk about workforce development, and then I'll be covering a little bit about the recent conversations here in America about Medicare for All and our healthcare system as a whole. As always, We Do Better is brought to you by We Do Better News, or rather, We Do Better News is brought to you by We Do Better. Again, my name is Rick Rifkin, and I'm coming to you from Austin, Texas. Let's get started. So the end of HIV is in sight, and now the HIV infection, really started catching on in around the 1980s. And so it was, in the beginning, it was very difficult to have a cure, and treatment was extremely expensive, especially if it, trying to have it not develop into full-blown AIDS. And the drug Truvada was manufactured by Gilead and was approved to treat HIV back in 2004. It was also discovered to prevent the spread of HIV. And in 2012, Truvada was approved as a form of what's called pre-exposure prophylaxis. In other words, it's a preventive medication for those especially in high-risk categories or high-risk parts of the world. And a group called Prevention Access Campaign partnered with organizations around the world, and they launched a campaign in 2016 to really spread the word about this new treatment. And the campaign has really garnered significant support from the, HIV community and HIV researchers, including the National Health Institute and the CDC. And it was actually found that a poll from March of this year found that 52% of respondents of the poll, only 52%, understood that drug therapy was effective in stopping people with HIV from infecting their partners, meaning that about half of people also didn't know that by taking drugs like Truvada, that they could actually, it almost would act like a vaccine or a sort of pre-antidote to the virus. And so there's really been a new goal that's been talked about. The Trump administration has talked about a 10-year plan to eradicate HIV. The Kaiser Family Foundation has talked about that it's really, they're looking to reduce new infections of HIV by 75% in the next 5 years and by 90% in the next 10 years. So while it won't be totally eradicated, it looks like it'll practically be eradicated, right? You'll just have very few cases on the fringe. And so really, the main thing is getting the word out that this drug Truvada works, and to get people in the position where they can be, they can receive that treatment. A Finnish company has discovered a way to make food from practically thin air. So a Finnish company called Solar Foods is saying that they have managed to create this food out of thin air, and it could be hitting grocery store shelves in as little as 2 years. Now, this product and this technology was from Soline, which was originally a technology of NASA. And so the engineers at Solar Foods have succeeded in making a protein powder using only CO2, water, vitamins, and solar power. And so it looks and it tastes like wheat flour. Now, in terms of its composition, it's actually 50% protein, which the only thing you could get that would be 50% protein would be meat or something like that. Now, since it's such an efficient process, it's over 100 times more climate friendly than using animal products as a source of nutrition, and several times more climate friendly than any kind of plant-based foods. Now, of course, I'm not recommending we go out and just eat this powder all day, but it can be, great for producing sort of protein powders, adding to yogurts, diet foods, emergency supplies, obviously space travel, NASA. And so we wanted to highlight this because we could see it being used in the future for a lot of humanitarian efforts. Not so much, as a fine dining thing, but we could see that it really does make an impact. True Rest Float Spa has made a commitment to veterans and active duty military. And what they've done is that they have these flotation therapy tanks, like you see here in the photo. And what these are is that you're floating in the tank, and the tank is closed and it's insulated, and so there's no lights or sound, and it's what's called sensory deprivation. And it's actually been found to be a reliable treatment for PTSD. And unfortunately, a lot of soldiers, when they come back from deployment, if they're ever in battle, they see friends get hurt, if they get hurt, if they have to hurt somebody else, they often come back with PTSD, at varying levels of severity. And so since 2015, True Rest Float Spa has given away thousands of free therapy sessions to veterans and military members. And they're set to give thousands more away. Now, currently, it calls itself the world's largest flotation therapy brand, and they have 112 branches, with 15 more opening this year. And they have challenged the Department of Veteran Affairs to seriously examine flotation therapy for the military. And during a randomized controlled trial, it was found that blood pressure readings showed that patients experienced an increase in serenity or mood and relaxation post-float, as well as muscle tension and anxiety significantly decreasing after the float. And patients realized that improvement with their, basically their blood pressure, all of their readings were improved, and they also experienced these effects 20 hours after the float. And it could really be a fantastic way to combat PTSD and other forms of trauma, anxiety, and stress. All right, next we're joined by Lolita Allgyer. Lolita is the content strategist at Praxis. And Praxis, many of you may have already heard of. Praxis runs a 12-month training program. What they do is that they take young adults and they take them and train them to work for software firms, particularly established startups and middle-sized companies. And they do a 6-month boot camp and then a 6-month apprenticeship. And these students are able to leave the program completely debt-free and work at really high-impact technology positions. And so Lolita is here to explain the impact that Praxis has had and a little bit about what they've discovered since they've started.
Hey, thank you for having me on. One of the main distinctions that I want to make is that we are for those entry-level roles in the non-tech roles at tech startups. And what I'm talking about is, you can go to any coding boot camp to get that coding knowledge. If you want to be a software engineer, if you want to do any of that, there's a lot of places to get that. But what Praxis does is we help young people land highly leverageable jobs at startups in positions that a lot of people don't think about whenever you're thinking about technology and that kind of world. And I'm talking about roles like sales, marketing, customer service, operations. Those are roles that every company needs someone in, especially when they're really growing fast, especially when you're looking to expand your business. But it's not something you think about at a tech startup. You think about the engineers. But these are actually one of the best ways to get started in your career, because if you have sales skills or marketing skills, those are easily transitioned into any new role that you want as you take on your career. So we're not a coding boot camp, but we are specializing in those non-tech roles at tech startups. Lets you get an opportunity to really get your foot in the door in the world of innovation, and also just make your mark on the world and really launch your career.
Great. And so tell us a little bit about how old Praxis is, how long it's been in place, and sort of the background.
Yeah, it started about 6 years ago by Isaac Morehouse in 2013. Many of you probably know who he is. Lots of great talks. If you look up Isaac Morehouse, he kind of talks about the philosophy behind Praxis, why he believes college is dead, and what the philosophy behind this company is and everything that we believe in. Our main goal is to help people discover and do what makes them come alive, and freedom is a huge concept in that. We want to break free of the mold of the credentialized system. People think that, oh, there's one way to get a job. You graduate high school, you go to college, you find something that you enjoy, maybe or maybe not. You go into that, finish college, throw out your resume at a bunch of jobs, and that's how you get a great job. Well, it's not true in today's world, and we're here to show that there is another way. We're here to help young people find that other way. So over the past couple years, we've helped close to 300 people launch their careers. There are a lot of people still going through the boot camp. We have, right now, classes of 10 to 20 participants starting every month that we work through this boot camp and apprenticeship. And it's just been quite the ride. It's been amazing to watch all of these people land jobs and then graduate saying, wow, like I can do anything I want. I can land any job I want. I know that I have this ability now that you've given me this opportunity.
Great. And so tell us about what kind of companies and maybe even specific companies that your apprentices end up working at.
Yeah, this is a great question. So the main thing to remember is that we focus on high growth companies. And I'm talking about somewhere that is growing fast enough that you can see a direct impact that you're having on the company. We're not looking for this corporate structure that is really in place that you can't have much impact on. And we're also looking for somewhere that is established enough that you can have mentors and grow very quickly in that area. So it's kind of like that mid-level startup size, about 15 to 1,000 employees. Great size company. One example of this company is PandaDoc. They create documents, online documents for sales teams. Incredible product, incredible company, the way it's run. They have done amazing things with Praxis apprentices. I think they have hired somewhere up to 12 to 15 apprentices who have then, many of them have stayed on because they love the company so much. They enjoy working with the team, they enjoy the product. That's just one example of a really great company that we partner with.
Gotcha. And so how does the boot camp get paid for, and then how is it different from the college model?
I gotcha. Those are two probably separate questions, but I've definitely tried to kind of pull them together into one. So here's the thing. With college, you are putting out thousands and thousands of dollars for an education that, number one, you may or may not use. A lot of young people, at 18, 19 years old, really don't know exactly what they want. They're just going because, they think they're supposed to. They're going into something that they may or may not enjoy in 4 years. They really don't know. That's a pretty huge bet that you're making that, the college experience that you're having will, fuel your career with what you want. The difference with Praxis is that we're giving you skills that you can use for pretty much any job that you want later on. Regardless of what it is, it's only 1 year, and these are actionable things that you can take later on. You're also getting 6 months of work experience to boot, and that's highly valuable in today's world. You're seeing a lot of entry-level jobs ask for 3 to 5 years of experience, and every Praxis participant is getting this highly marketable tool, which is experience in this case. So I would say that's the main difference between Praxis and college, in that you're actually getting very specific, actionable tools that you can take on to other careers. How do you pay for the program? Well, the program is $12,000. So definitely it's an investment. We're not going to be sorry about that. That is something that, if you're ready to go through with it, this is something that you're ready to invest your life in. But keep in mind that every Praxis participant during the 6-month apprenticeship will make a base minimum of $14,400, so that by the time you graduate the Praxis program, it's set up to be debt-free. You're graduating with no debt, you're graduating with 6 months of work experience, and also 96% of our grads get full-time job offers at the company that they're starting, that they've worked at. So not only are you, debt-free, you've got experience, but you also have a job offer in your pocket most of the time. And those first job offers average about $50,000 a piece.
Which is on track with what most colleges claim, right?
Correct. That's pretty much the average starting salary. It's just that Praxis participants are making that in 1 year instead of after 4, and they don't have massive debt to pay off.
Right, right. And so I'm guessing you don't need a 4-year degree to work at Praxis?
No, you definitely don't. I would say our team is split pretty well between people who have actually gone to college and people who haven't, which makes for a very interesting dynamic. It's definitely a very fun team because if everyone had to have a 4-year degree, that would be kind of completely against our philosophy. But at the same time, having some people that have had degrees really gives us a variety of experience levels and kind of, different people that feel different. But we're all united in one philosophy, and that's helping people discover and do what makes them come alive.
Now, I've seen reports that a lot of major companies are dropping the 4-year degree requirement. Are you guys seeing that?
We are seeing that a lot. And the funny thing is that even companies that say 4-year degree required, that's kind of just a base level for trying to see if people are actually ready to do the job. You got to have some kind of signal that lets you know, is this person dependable? Can they actually come to work on time? Can they finish something that they've started? The degree for a long time has been used at that signal. But any signal is only valuable if there is nothing better to replace it. And today, with the internet, with the fact that you can easily show your work in other ways, there's so many more stronger signals than a degree. And what we're helping participants realize is that you can become your own signal. You are the one that has control over that by building your personal brand, by showing your projects online, and by showing businesses very actively why you want to work with them, how you're going to work with them, what value you're actually going to create. You have a much stronger signal than a degree could ever have. And we've seen participants over and over and over again bypass this degree qualification. But yes, we are also seeing that a lot of companies are dropping that requirement. And in place, you're seeing an experience requirement come in just because I think businesses realize that it's a lot more influential if you have experience, if you have like an actual foundation for the things that you're learning. And so that it's a very fun process to be a part of.
Yeah, so tell me also, like, just on a personal note, how did you end up getting involved?
So I applied to Praxis at 17 years old, found about it, let's see, I think it was through a Facebook ad, to be honest. I was homeschooled for most of my high school experience, did a lot of side projects. The thing I loved most about homeschooling was the fact that I could completely control my education. If I wanted to dive into psychology for 3 months, I could dive into psychology for 3 months and get lost in it. And that's exactly what I did. When I was getting ready to graduate, I knew that I didn't want to go to college unless I had something very specific that I wanted to do. And at the time, all I wanted was to gain a wide range of experience and to learn as much as possible in as short of a time as possible. I didn't see college as being the route to do that, and didn't actually realize that there was a program like Praxis available, to be honest. I thought I was the only person that was really thinking like that. So when I found Praxis, I knew that was exactly what I wanted to do. I applied, got accepted, and started the boot camp. And around the time that it got close for me to start my apprenticeship, Isaac Morehouse, the founder of Praxis, reached out to me and he said, "Hey, I know you're focused on a sales role throughout this program, but we do have a marketing role open here at Praxis. So if you would like, you can just come join our team kind of for your apprenticeship instead of like going through a normal apprenticeship at another business partner." I still had the choice, of course, to go through and do another business partner, but like any Praxis participant would, I definitely took the job offer because I'm very passionate about the program. I'm passionate about the philosophy behind it, and I recognized a huge opportunity in being able to work with the people that actually started the program like this. So at this point, I've been here for about a year and a half, getting really close to a year and a half, and every moment has been so fulfilling. It's been amazing. Get to watch young people every single day say, "I love my job. I love this career that I've started. I just did this new cool project." And it's just absolutely amazing because stories like this come every day, and you know that you're making a specific impact on young people's lives.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. So you applied, like finishing high school, did the boot camp, and then Isaac Morehouse says, "Hey, why don't you stick around?"
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So, what else would you want to leave us with in terms of, one of the things we talk about is policy on We Do Better. Sometimes we will. Sometimes we get into the impact of different charities and nonprofits and organizations and whatnot. Do you think that this is a model that's catching on?
So, yes, I think that this is going to be something that you'll see a lot more of. I think that the world is really changing. People are realizing that because there's so much information available and it is all over on the internet, what we're finding is that groups of people who have the same, very similar niche interests are kind of coming together and building their own platforms for studying those interests on or whatever. I think that that's going to be a big thing that we'll see a lot more of this. For example, Praxis is a very niche kind of boot camp where young people can learn to build skills, work in tech startups, and work specifically in non-tech roles. There's a lot of career fields outside of that. There's a lot of different areas for growth that other companies and other businesses or nonprofits even can be filling, a need in the market. And I think that that's going to come around. The ultimate thing for me to see in education would be for there to be so many groups of people with specific interests that, if you're interested in economics, you just have this one group of economics that you are very tied into, that you're studying together, that you're learning from the experts, and then the experts actually will have people that are interested in the subject matter, that they're teaching. I think that would be the ultimate goal for people to freely be able to, come back and forth and be educated as they please, online, wherever that would be. I think that would be amazing to see.
Well, great. Well, thank you so much for being on, Lolita. And tell us more about how we can find you and how to contact Praxis.
That sounds good. We are at Discover Praxis on pretty much every social media platform, and our website is discoverpraxis.com. Currently, we're offering a scholarship for homeschool students. If you are a homeschool student or if you are a self-educator in general, just go to discoverpraxis.com/homeschool, and we've got that scholarship out that you can definitely feel free to check out. It basically means that one homeschooler is going to get a full ride scholarship to Praxis because we believe in you and we believe in self-education. So definitely an offer that's not worth passing up. I have a website, lolitaallgyer.com. I will say I'm not quite as active there as I used to be, but you can check me.
If you haven't already noticed, it's election season. And the Democratic candidates have been talking about all kinds of different policies. And the main thing one of the big things that's been talked about is Medicare and Medicare for all. And all of the candidates have got their own spin on what it should look like, what it could look like, what it costs, and what their approach is to all of this. And I'm following an article by the American Prospect, and you'll have the link in the show notes. And the author, John Walker, does make a great point. He points out that Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren have had an honest approach to this, whereas the other politicians have some varying levels of honesty, and I'll get into that. Now, currently, America spends 18% of GDP on healthcare. And according to a tracker set up by Kaiser, on someone that makes about a $50,000 a year salary, between what their employer pays for premiums, what they pay in state and federal taxes, what they pay in premiums out of pocket or pre-tax, well, that totals up to about $11,500, or over 20% of their paycheck going to healthcare, right? Now, that would explain the 18% GDP number, right? So what's been happening is that the government and the politicians have been hiding the true cost of medical insurance and healthcare in general. And the American public is not aware of what is actually going on, what things actually cost, what they should cost too, right? It's sort of like if you only get one bid from a contractor to replace the roof on your house and it's $20,000, well, maybe you don't know if that's high or low until you see that the next guy was $8,000. So Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren have proposed really showing the costs that we're currently incurring. But then they're going to persuade the American public to continue with the system, to continue with Medicare for all, and to simply eat the new raised taxes that they're proposing. So they say, yep, this is what it costs, pay extra, this is where we're going to get you. It's a tough sell, but it's an honest sell. Now, the rest of the Democrats, and arguably the current Republicans and the current Democrats and even the president, have not been so forthright about what things cost. Now, the numbers are astronomical, and healthcare prices have gone up year over year in the United States, right? But what's important to get is where we compare to other developed countries, right? And, I'll give you some statistics about European countries in particular. So, I'll also mention Canada. So Canada has a pure single payer system for basic care, and it has province level control or state level control. And last year it spent 10.7% on GDP when it comes to healthcare. Compare that to our 18%. Japan also has significant cost sharing, and it uses a mix of employer paid funds and local public programs, and they spend 10.9% GDP. Australia spent 9.3% GDP. The UK, Denmark, Sweden, and Norway all have socialized medicine with tiny private insurance markets, and they spend about 9.8 to 11% GDP, right? Now, here's the thing. So in this article by the American Prospect by John Walker, it talks about the problem was that in 1975, President Nixon lifted healthcare cost controls. He deregulated the market, and everything went helter-skelter from there. I think that is not an astute analysis, because you cannot call a market in which it takes $1 billion to get FDA approvals for a drug deregulated. No, that is highly regulated. It takes $1 billion in years to get a drug approved, when Labdoor.com is testing supplements for nothing, right? Next to nothing, and then simply asking the drug company or the supplement company for commission, right? When companies are paying other companies like Underwriters Laboratories fees all the time, third-party inspections, third-party checking, third-party verification. Doesn't cost $1 billion to determine whether something is safe or not. Well, so we have a regulated market. Insurance is regulated, right? And so, in fact, it might be that the only solution is to further deregulate and to let nonprofits and companies really do their thing to lower the costs of healthcare. For example, if you just simply go to a subscription-based medical practice, a direct care practice in your local town or city, you could pretty much have unlimited access to a physician for around $90 a month, and have cut rate drug prices simply by paying cash and by being smart about it. You don't need to have insurance to simply go to your GP. So, I would be wary of proposals from Washington and the various forms of Medicare for all, because they're not going to be cheaper, they're not going to save us money, they're not going to make us anywhere closer in terms of GDP, spending by GDP, than we are to Canada or Japan or any of these other countries. Their proposals simply won't work because the current incentives do not make healthcare prices cheaper, and we've seen this. So, look, if you enjoy the show, if you enjoy listening to us here at We Do Better News, please support the show. Go to wedobetter.org/donate. You can check us out at wedobetter.org and hit the Get Involved tab if you're interested in getting involved and you're interested in volunteering and really, putting your voice out there. And also check us out on Facebook under We Do Better US. And you can go ahead and comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And again, we appreciate you very much. My name is Rick Rifkin from Austin, Texas, signing off.